Hi,
So what are we baking today?
I'm making a cheesecake.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
This
How
is
are
like our
you?
cooking show. This is awesome.
Come again?
This is like a cooking show right now.
Yeah, today is a Pilates cooking show.
Yes.
Necessary. With everything that's happening in this world, it's out of mind to think about. We need to do anything that we can to lift ourselves up. And the cake,
Yes.
fantastic. I need sugar. Yes, but tell me how are
Mm,
you?
I'm doing well. We had a fantastic. I had a such a Kaylee and I had this amazing Black History Month event last night.
Yeah.
The city of Mississauga is doing such a good job of supporting and just amplifying Black voices, and the speakers were fantastic. I guess it's just such a rich city. You know what I mean? Like it's very it's I don't know. I'm still kind of reflecting on it because we talk about doing the work and about this and that and the other, but then it gets complicated when you get down to actually doing the work at like an institutional level.
Mm-hmm.
And but the steps are slow and the steps are deliberate, and I could see how people who have power are stepping aside and giving voice and giving action to people who can actually give some direction on how to affect change in a real way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like the way they bring in consultants and they have the Black Caucus and then they have events like this that are really thoughtfully done. And you can see that they put time and money and energy into it. Like it wasn't an afterthought. Like subtle things like that
Yeah.
that are so affirming, you know?
You know, I'm honestly, Martin, I'm in a state of mind, a state of place now that I'm in a way so tired of seeing so many things happening that are not right. And also in our society with our people, but also in general, you know, we have now a new war starting, which is devastating for all of us. Doesn't matter where it is.
Yes.
And in the other hand, I have also been in contact with some people in Brazil, and so many wars has been happening in the past years, you know, and there
Yes.
are no comments because there are no European countries. I'm not how to say, taking the painful truth of having a war. Doesn't matter in which country it is, but I
Mm.
think there's a war going on already for a long time in so many different countries. And in so many, I mean, if you look the Indians and the Black people, this is a constantly war for all of us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
the world is now completely, all directions going to the situation that's happening now in Europe. And I think we should definitely pay attention to it. But I think we should have a more of a global talk about what's actually wars are happening for real, because there are much hardcore situations happening behind the curtains that we have no idea. I mean, if
Yes.
you don't want to see it, you know what I mean?
Right,
But
right.
standing with my people, and I'm standing with everyone that's celebrating us. And I think it's important that we don't stop celebrating who we are and where we come from, our ancestors and our history. But
Yes.
in the other hand, I miss action, you know, I miss things
Yes.
to be really happening. I mean, there's a big shift also happening here in Germany. It's really, really amazing. There's so many things happening, from advertisements, you know, TV shows. I
Yes.
think since George Floyd's killing, a lot of things has changed in the industry in general. I mean, in the
Yes.
human race mentality, because was I don't even understand why it was necessary George Floyd to die for us to understand what's happening to Black people. Because if you look at
Right.
history and you look at slavery, there was
Mm.
nothing worse to be happening to a human being than what's happened to our ancestors, you know. But
Yes, but
I
it's the fact that it was taped, the fact that it was recorded, and it was like it was right there in front of you. You could not turn a blind eye to how devastating and how disturbing those images were, right? Like you couldn't, there's nowhere to brush it off. It was like right in front of you, right in
mm,
your face, and everyone
mm,
had to deal with it. And
mhm.
that's, you know what I mean? Like it was the modern day Rodney King thing, right? But on
Yeah,
a bigger, more people saw it.
yeah,
So that's like, it's that, that interruption to your regular scheduled program of life without thinking about other people
mm,
that's where we were, right, when
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm with you on this one, but also I think that what we saw from George Floyd that turned around the entire world into looking at the black race is something that is not one specific occasion. This happens every single day. I mean, in Brazil, a black person is killed every 23 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is completely
Yes.
out of mind. You know what's happening in Africa with all the colonizations, how much they are destroying Africa and still destroying Africa, you know? So I think that's a big deal for us. Of course, we have to keep in the conversations, but I'm thinking, how can I bring more awareness to everyone else? Because we as a black people, we need to stay together and to be able to understand each other and to find a way how to communicate. But we have to communicate with the power, the people who are in power, they are not us. And those people need to understand that we're not calling them racist, but they have to break the systematic racism that their ancestors has built. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
So yeah,
So
so to that point, that's what I feel like I'm reflecting and celebrating from yesterday. We had a gentleman, I can't remember his name now, but he is on the federal Black Caucus, and he talked about the things that we're talking about, people in power influencing decisions. And this gentleman who spoke last night was instrumental in getting getting Viola Desmond on the $10 bill. Was instrumental in $100 million grants going to Black businesses. Instrumental in getting, I think, $200 million for upstart businesses and stuff like that. So, like, it's when you have someone who has the ear of the people who have power, and the people who have power are listening and deferring to those because they're on the ground, they have the lived experience, and they also have technical skill as a lawyer or as a in finance, whatever it is. They're deferring to the people who have that experience. So I saw like this gentleman who spoke last night is saying like all these things that are happening and all the things that he's done. And it's like it's what you're saying there. And that for me is the how. Get people into those positions, get the ear of the person who makes the decision.
yeah, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
Martin, honestly, I'm still working on my mind with what's happening already for a while. I have been out of social media for the past 2 years. I will be back again in the next few weeks and coming out with some different inputs that I would like to bring out for all of us. But I'm every day for me is a question of where we are going, you know, what is happening, you know,
Yes.
how can we do better? How can people be, you know, I cannot understand how hurting and violence and wars and killing can be something that we as a human can do, you know. I don't even know how to put it into words because I'm not able to hurt somebody. As a, you know, as a human being, we are, I was listening to a guru and he was talking about this. We are human beings. You know, why animals are animals? The lion is an animal, but we are human
Yes.
beings, even though we are all animals on earth, you know. But
Yes.
we,
Yes.
because we are able to think, we are able to rationalize and to make choices.
To
And
reason. Yes.
I cannot understand how in this situation, doesn't matter who the president is, that's another level of conversation. But
Yes.
as a human being, how can your heart, how can your mind, how can your soul, how can you live with the fact that you can kill people, that you can destroy lives, you know, that you can just devastate in a whole country out of gaining power or gaining,
Yes.
that's something that I always ask myself, why countries are fighting for gaining more power. If you look about USA or Canada or Brazil or France, all those countries who are in a certain level of power, how are they?
Yes.
Why are they fighting against each other to see who gonna have the bigger bank account, who's gonna have the more
Yes.
territory?
Short answer, yes.
About why? About why? It's that much that you can buy to survive. That much that you need to live your day every day and to be happy and
Yes.
to have your family and friends, whoever, your loved ones. So you don't need more than having a home and a warm blanket and clothes and food on your plate and do what you love. I mean, you know, if you think about it, is a level of spiritual understanding
For
of what
sure.
is happiness, you know what I mean? And
But
I
you're
don't
talking
understand.
about needs, but you're talking about needs and wants and lusts for power
Mm,
and greed for money. Those are different than needs. Like, we're not talking about needs right now. We're
mm.
not talking about needs. We're talking about wants. We're talking about power. What they say, Putin is making $700 million a day on oil. You know what I mean? So the things that are there, it's all about power and money. It's
Mm.
so there's a part of me that understands why these things happen. I don't agree with it, but I
Mm.
know people are greedy. I know people are power hungry,
But how
and
can you
it's like,
break? But the question is, how can you break this situation on this system that we can actually bring heartfelt people into power? You know, that's something that I was reading about
yes,
Putin, and one psychologist said that he's sick. But this is something we experience already with Trump. We experienced this with Bolsonaro in Brazil. They are those people I don't understand where they coming from, because they doesn't look like they come from the same earth where I come from, because my understanding, you know what I mean, this is
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
make even sense to be able to rationalize how are they thinking, you know.
yeah,
And I said to myself I will get out of social media for the next few days, because since the war started you see horrible pictures, and the first bomb was already
mm-hmm.
up on Ukraine, and you know the children and the parents and saying goodbyes to their children because the man has to stay in the land to fight. And I'm like,
Yes,
how is that even possible? How is that even, how can this even come into a mind of a human being to understand? If you have children, even if you don't have children, but for sure you have
yes,
somebody to love, how can you understand that you have to say goodbye, maybe never see them again?
yes.
You
Right.
know what
So
I
what
mean?
do we do? I mean, that's a struggle. So what do we do? Because now even just turning off social media, like, I mean, if I don't see the images, it's still happening.
Yeah.
So
But you know why this
what
comes
do we
so
do?
deep on me, Martin? You know, I cannot really,
Yeah.
I can't sleep if I watch those things, you know. And I was thinking
Hmm.
about this. This is a good question. What can we do? Because actually, my child, my girl, she asked me also. We talk about everything, you know. She's gonna be 10 years old, and she's full
Hmm.
aware of what's happening in society. And I said to her, you know, Lua, the only way that we can change this world is my when I see what I could imagine happen, if it's the entire society, doesn't matter where you are. It's like what's happened now with COVID. Was the only thing in the world that could put the entire world at home if everybody would go out and sit down. No wars, just sit down. Doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. Let's sit down and let's wait. Stop the world. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
if nobody's working, there's no money. If nobody gonna move out of the streets, nobody's moving. So,
Right.
you know, to bring some kind of understanding. Let's, you know, if you look at some of the wars, like Vietnam War, Thich Nhat Hanh is one of the gurus. He passed away 2 weeks ago, actually. And he was one of the guys who was exiled from Vietnam because he started a peaceful war. And
Hmm.
what he did was he just sit down on the streets and he said,
Yes.
I'm fighting. You know, that's not a way that we can solve a problem. And we as a human being, we need to be able to sit down with each other and to find a solution without violence, without killing, without destroying people's lives. And yeah, it's too much, Memo. I'm doing what I can every day, you know. I
Yes.
do my job that I love. I love my clients. I love the people in my surroundings. I love people like
Hmm.
in my life. And that's what I can do, you know. If I can help anybody, I'm always there. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're standing. If you are
Yes.
anywhere, I'm there if you need me, you know. That's what I can do.
That's honestly, Carolyn, that's where I always land is that, okay, how can I impact the people around me?
Mm,
How can I love and support those around me? How can I maybe change someone's perspective on something, illuminate something to them, whatever it is? But that really, if everyone has that mindset of just think about like what they can do for their immediate surroundings, then that's when you're getting that global impact.
mm,
It's tough because I mean you can't like you what you just said there. Everyone sit down. Like, you can't get on a megaphone and tell a country to sit down. Like they're like
mm,
everyone's not going to listen to you, but
mm,
the 50, 100, 200 people in your circle might,
mm.
right? So, um,
Because
It's so funny. Like, as we're having this conversation, people are tuning in. We've turned from making a cheesecake and talking Pilates to trying to solve the war,
the world problem. But you know
the
what?
world
This
problems.
is interesting because this happening here in Hamburg about a
Germany's
month
close,
ago.
yeah.
A month ago, there was a woman. She sat down in the middle of one of the busiest streets in Hamburg. And she sat down, she closed her eyes, and she was just meditating. I was like, yes, this is the way how it should be. She was just sitting down with her eyes closed, police all around her, but nobody can touch her. She has her rights. And
Yes.
nobody moved her out of the place. All the traffic was stopped, and she has her shield with her protest. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yes.
this is something that's the only way that I can imagine that we as a human, we can help each other is if we hold together. And this is
Yes.
something that's such a huge topic to be able to find a way how we can actually do that, because there's so much division, there's so much issues, discriminations, whatever you want to put it, all this sickness that exists in human psychology, everything's just sparking out since, I don't know, the past 5 years, even more.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that's very important that we stand and we do what we can every day.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
How is Pilates? Well, let's talk about Pilates.
Let's talk about Pilates.
Yes.
It's good. Since the lockdown and opening back up, I moved my space. So you can see a bigger space behind me here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I gotta get some classes going. Gotta just connect with more people, and I've enjoyed working with our community classes and back into community centers. But yeah, I want to start doing some open gym classes and get people working more independently in the
Mm-hmm.
space and
Great.
all those different things. So yeah, just growing it. And also I want to get some more personal trainers into Pilates. And I
Okay.
was saying earlier this week, I see Jeff Martin just came here. I saw, and my brothers are in the space too. I was saying to someone earlier this week, you are on a 5-year plan to becoming a Pilates instructor. I
Mm.
basically point blank, like my mission, my goal is your 5-year plan to become a. So like, and he's gonna come in. He's a basketball trainer. Another guy who's a personal trainer does some boot camps. And as they're working with me, I'm gonna basically take the next couple of years and just like pour into them and challenge them. So it's not like you're taking a weekend Pilates course. It's like, okay, no, we're growing towards something here. So they'll
Yes.
just own it, right? So I'm just thinking differently on it and just trying to grow this well, not fast, you know?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm also back to school at the moment. So I started new studies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited. I'm doing psychology, but mental
Okay.
coaching. So I would like to implement this with my Pilates education. I'm use my Pilates
Amazing. Let's
because
talk about that.
yeah, because a lot of
Yeah.
people, I think that a lot of problems that we have in our bodies are blockage that we have also in our psychology. And there are
Yes,
people that
absolutely.
ever do this, or how can I be like you, or how can I move like you? I'm like, nobody moves the same, nobody can do the same. You all are
Yes.
unique, and this is the gift in this world, that we are all unique. But I
Yes.
realize how much blockages exist because of issues. I'm not happy at work, or not happy at home, or my children, whatever that is. And I found a really nice idea. I mean, my man was giving me a great support because he's a coach himself. And he
Oh,
was like,
good.
oh, you need to do this because you are such a motivation person. And I can see from your clients that you're going to be really amazing to do this and to be able to combine with your Pilates education. The Pilates.
Absolutely.
So I'm back at school for the next 2 years. So I'm really excited.
Good for you.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you because like you think that way already. And from my experience doing those courses, what you're going to discover is that there is a label for the things you've already thought about.
mm-hmm.
And it's going to be just like, oh, that's like,
Yeah.
the light bulb's going to go off for you so many times because you think a certain way and you see things and you'll discover that there's a label for that and there's
Yeah.
an explanation for it and
Yeah.
there's a way so it'll just layer onto what you intuitively know in a real way. And I found that was my experience with it. So you're going to love that.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I already have the first few weeks and
Get
has been
it.
really like breathtaking to see and to understand. It's so much easier to understand the
Yes.
psychology of people and why they think like certain situations. So they have
Mm-hmm.
some, it's really clear, it's a pattern that we have to be able to break through and say, hey, that's let's talk about this, and then we can solve everything else. So it's really, really interesting, and this is, I'm fully happy with it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's for
Nice.
sure. Yeah, I have to come to Canada, really. You know, once this word come anyhow in a normal way, I would definitely
Yes.
come. I have to.
You're you're more than welcome. And
Yeah,
my wife and I have been talking about doing Germany. That's our next trip. So,
yeah. I'm waiting. Huh? I told you already. The house is ready. I'm cooking Brazilian food and I'm baking cake. So
hey, there you go.
come, and then we're gonna just enjoy some Pilates and some good Brazilian food.
Yes.
That's,
Deal.
yeah.
All
Anytime.
right. Okay. Good catching up with you, my friend. As
Yes,
always.
always, always lovely to see you, meu amor. Mwah. I kiss you. Have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you.
Say hi to your wife. Great things to have for me. Give her a big hug. And say
Will
hi to
do.
you, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Okay.
Mwah.
Bye.
Beijos.
All right.
Nicht gucken. Nur. Nicht gucken. Nur. Still.
Just hi. Okay. So cute.
She's
All
decorating the
right.
house.
There you go. All right,
Ciao.
everybody. We are out. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.